Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Ian, I'm Ian the Reader, and today I'm coming at you with my November wrap-up. I don't know why I'm doing this so much, but I guess it's what I do now. So, I had a really great month of reading in the month of November. Not only did I read a good number of books, but the quality of books I read was pretty dang good as well. Some of them I planned on reading, and some of them I didn't. I did read quite a few books for my November TBR though, so don't come at me. But in total, I read 15 books in the month of December, and I actually really enjoyed a lot of the books that I read. I didn't have any 5-star books, which is a bummer because I haven't had a 5-star book in a couple months now, but I did have some 4.5s, which is pretty great too. So rather than going from my least favorite book to my favorite book, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the books that I read in the order that I read them, because a couple of them I want to save my thoughts on until my reading vlogs come out, because I did post one reading vlog already this month. That was my blind date with a book reading vlog, but I have another one coming out later in the month of December on trying 3 thriller authors that I've never tried before, so keep an eye out for that video. But anyway, let's go ahead and start with the first book that I read in the month of November. The first book I read was Billy Summers by Stephen King. I started this book in October and I finished it up at the beginning of November, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I have a review filmed for it, as well as The Last House on Needless Street. It's like a dual review, and I haven't posted it yet just because there's so many other videos that I've been doing. But yeah, I liked this book. I wasn't like crazy about it. It's definitely like middle tier Stephen King for me. It's not my favorite, but it's also not my least favorite. Yeah, there were some things I liked about this book a lot, but it went a few places that I wasn't sure about, and the pacing of it was kind of inconsistent at times. It definitely surprised me as well, though. There were some things I loved about it, like some of the relationships that were developed in this book, some of the choices that Stephen King made as far as when things happened in the plot and when things didn't happen in the plot, I thought were really interesting, and it just went a lot of places that I didn't expect. So if you've read the summary of this book or like the little flap for it and it doesn't sound interesting, I might consider going ahead and giving it a try anyway, because honestly, the stuff that you get on the flap is like half the book, and there's another half of the book that isn't even talked about. So definitely worth giving a try. I've seen a lot of 5-star reviews for it. It wasn't a 5-star for me, but it was still really good. 3.5. Okay, time to disappoint people. So the second book that I read in the month of November was Ninth House. I finally read it, which is great because I've been meaning to read this for years, and it's been on multiple of my TBRs this year, but I didn't love this book, honestly. I gave it a 3 at the time. Maybe I want to even lower it to 2.5. I don't know. I don't know who I am. I don't know why I hate on this book so much. That's a lie. I actually do know. So part of my issue with Ninth House was that it didn't really feel like I knew what it was. I think that sometimes an author can really well balance like trying to be like a meshing of genres, and it works really well. But for this one, it just didn't work for me. Something about it made it feel like neither the mystery thriller aspect of it nor the fantasy aspect of it was particularly compelling or convincing. And then on top of that, I just didn't like the characters. I didn't like the pacing of it. I almost said the pacing of it, honestly, just because, I don't know, I was kind of bored. Like, I expected more out of it. And even the main character, like, she's not a great person, which I get is fine, like, and you kind of get a few different perspectives on her, because you get her perspective and then you get kind of other people's perspectives on her, and so it's very revealing, and I thought that was, you know, well handled. But I just wasn't a fan of this book, honestly. I don't know if it's because my expectations were so high, but yeah, I mean, I think I'll stick with a 3. I think it does deserve a 3, but I was just disappointed. Like, I think that's where a lot of my feelings are stemming from. It's not necessarily with the book as a whole, but if I had entered into this with lower expectations or even no expectations, it could have been higher, maybe. But anyway, that's Ninth House. Next book. Hey guys, Ian from the future here. During editing, I realized that I somehow forgot to talk about Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, which I read in the month of November. I enjoyed this book. It was definitely like, I mean, I knew it was gonna be kind of out there when I was getting into it, and like just from what I'd heard about it. But yeah, I still was taken by surprise by it. I wouldn't say that I loved it as much as I thought I was going to. I thought it could really, maybe not be a 5-star, but like at least a 4.5 or something like that. But something with the pacing of it kind of just didn't work for me. To be honest, it kind of felt like, I don't know, almost like Super Mario, but like weird. Because like, you know, there's the different levels, and every level has it's almost like a different world, and he's got these challenges, and he's trying to save his wife, so it's almost like Mario going after Princess Peach, which is, you know, a whole thing. But ultimately, I enjoyed the concept of this book, and I enjoyed most of the execution. The pacing wasn't all there for me, despite the fact that it kind of takes off right away. The middle kind of lagged for me, to be honest, and so, yeah, I mean, it was good, and I will definitely continue. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I'd go 3.75, maybe a light 4, more likely 3.75, but those are my thoughts. Back to your normally scheduled program. So the next book that I read is called Tomb Yards and Butterflies. It is the first book in the, let me pull it up on Goodreads because I cannot remember the name of the series. Montague and Strong Case Files. Yeah, it's the first book in that series. So this was a book that I picked for my journey through trying to find the next Dresden Files. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a vlog for that in the end or if I'm just going to do like a video talking about them. But yeah, this is the first book I picked up for that, and I actually really enjoyed this book. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. But it's kind of got like the feeling of a Dresden Files book, but with a little bit more of like a buddy cop aspect to it, because it's very similar. Like, they're part of a detective agency that deals with like paranormal stuff. They have some interaction with like actual local law enforcement, and there's a lot of like forces that be that try to, you know, throw things off and destroy the world or whatever. But I really found the two main characters to be really compelling. I thought they had really great and witty dialogue together. I thought that the pacing of this was really good. It was only like 6.5 hours long on audiobook, so it was a great length. And yeah, this was a hit for me. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. The next 4 books that I'm gonna be talking about were featured in my blind date with a book reading vlog / experiment. That video is already out, so if you have not watched it yet and you would like to, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the description, or maybe I'll try to figure out like how to put like one of those cards or whatever on the screen. I don't know how to do that, but maybe I'll try to figure it out just for this video. But anyway, the next 4 books that I'm going to be talking about are from that video. So the first book that I read for that video was Stone Arabia by Dana Spiotta. This is a really, really good book. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I take that back. I didn't really know how I thought it was going to be, but it surprised me in a lot of ways. It has a lot to say about like the sibling dynamic, as well as just like a lot of commentary on like art and the media and like how we see ourselves in art and how we see ourselves in the media and things like that. And yeah, this book was a hit for me for sure. I've really, really enjoyed it. So go ahead and watch my vlog if you haven't already to see what rating I gave it, but it was a good one. The next book I read for that reading vlog was The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. This one was also a pretty big hit for me. It was kind of hard to read at times, partly just because the descriptions of like, okay, so the main character is like in a terrible accident at the very beginning of this book, and then it kind of deals with the aftermath, him trying to pick up his life and recover and things like that, and the descriptions of his accident and all the things that happened to him was gruesome. A little hard to stomach at times, but I thought this was a really interesting book because it's a lot. It's a lot of different things. So it's his recovery journey, but then on top of that, there's this woman who comes into his life who says that they have basically known each other for like hundreds of years, and they're connected throughout time and all that jazz, and she's here just to, you know, be in love with him or whatever. And all of that was really, really interesting to me because it kind of feels almost like a historical fiction story, because you get her story that she tells that apparently goes on for hundreds of years, and you also get a lot of other character stories from that time. And so it's definitely like a story within a story kind of book, and it's not for everybody maybe, but I really enjoyed this one. Again, check out that video for my rating. Then I read the 3rd book for that video, Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaefer. This book was not as good for me. I expected a lot out of it just because the description sounded so dang good. And it was just kind of basic for me. I mean, the characters were kind of cringy, weird, and like over the top weird. And then on top of that, the relationship dynamic in this didn't really work for me. I still thought it was interesting, and I think the concept was interesting, but I have no interest in picking up the next 2 books in the trilogy, unfortunately. So yeah, not my favorite, but whatever. And the 4th book that I read for that challenge was The Magic of Recluse by Elie Modisette Jr. Maybe that's how you say his name. Maybe I'll never figure out how to say his name. I don't know. This was really good though. I actually enjoyed this one a lot. It is the first in a massive fantasy series, like 20 plus books. And I don't know why I had never heard of this or seen it anywhere, because it was pretty dang good, and it seems like the kind of thing that a lot of my friends would like, and a lot of like people whose YouTube videos I watch would like. Guys, give this a try, because it's fantasy, it's good, it's got a lot of great characters and kind of a really interesting and mysterious world to it. The magic system was kind of confusing and not like fully laid out, but it has to do with like, there's chaotic magic and there is like, not lawful magic, what is it? Like the magic of order. There's like order and chaos, and those things kind of define people and like their magic, rather than like just good and evil or black and white or whatever. It's very much like chaos and order, and it was very interesting. I thought it was pretty good. I will continue that series at some point. I'm not sure when. It's not like high on my to-do list, especially because there are like 20 something books, but I enjoyed it. It was good. You should check it out. Moving on past that collection of books, I finally read Stoner by John Williams, which is a classic that I've been wanting to read for quite a while now, just because there's been so much buzz about it lately for some reason. I feel like I've seen a lot of reviews for it and a lot of posts about it when I hadn't heard about it before. And it's a classic, you know, it came out like over 50 years ago, and it's got a lot of acclaim. Like, this has like a really high Goodreads score. I was very excited to read it. Did it live up to my expectations? Yes and no. It definitely wasn't what I expected. Like, this book is a real bummer, honestly. So enter this book with trepidation in your heart, I guess, because it's not a good time. You know, it's about this man who is an English professor, and it's just about his life. Like, it's his life story, but he faces a lot of disappointment. I wouldn't even say adversity, just a lot of disappointment, you know, and so it's definitely got a lot to say, and I'm still kind of processing how I feel about it, so I don't necessarily want to give it a star rating. If I had to right now, I'd probably give it a 4. But that feels too low, honestly, because I'm just pondering it a lot. And so you should definitely check this one out. It was pretty amazing. I'm just sad. Okay, I'm sad. I don't like being sad. Then I picked up A Little Hope by Ethan Joella, which I have been very interested in. I've actually had an arc for this on NetGalley for a while, and I finally just decided to pick it up because it was a Book of the Month pick for the month of November, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It was like a 3.25 if I'm feeling generous. This centers on a community of people, and it just deals with like kind of their lives and their struggles and how they interact with each other in their lives and things like that. And you know, sometimes these kind of books work for me. I like community aspect kind of books. I love family dynamics in books and relationship dynamics in books, but this one just felt like kind of lackluster, honestly. Like, I know it's supposed to be just like a day in the life kind of book, like looking at people and how they interact with each other and their relationships and stuff, but it needed a little bit more for me, honestly, because it just kind of, nothing really happened in my opinion. I mean, stuff did, but like, there was no wow factor, and sometimes I need like just a little bit of a wow factor, okay? Is that too much to ask? But anyway, like a 3.25, I don't know. And then I read 3 books by 3 thriller authors that I've never tried before for a vlog that is coming out in December, so keep an eye out for that. Lots of excitement. The 3 books that I read for that vlog were Lisa Jewell's The Family Upstairs, Lucy Foley's The Guest List, and Mary Kubika's Local Woman Missing. I had a lot of thoughts and a lot of like reactions in that vlog, and so you should definitely check it out. I had a pretty good time, honestly, with all of them. I won't say to what extent. Some I enjoyed definitely more than others, but it was nice. It was nice reading some thrillers. I enjoyed it. The second to last book that I completed in the month of November is The Bean Trees by Barbara Kingsolver. This was a surprise pick for me. I didn't plan on reading this, but I went to a little free library one day and it was there, and I'd been meaning to read one of her books before, so I grabbed it and then I just started reading it, which is kind of nice, you know, because a lot of times I'll buy a book or I'll pick up a book and then I'll just let it sit on my shelves for months and, you know, feel bad about it. But it was nice to pick up a book and then immediately start reading it. This book was pretty good for me, though. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be when I started it, because when I first started it, I was super compelled. The first half really hooked me, and I was just like in it for sure, and it felt like it could be a 5-star read. The second half kind of lost a bit of that momentum for me, and it kind of feels almost like part 1 of a story, which I know there is a sequel, but I don't know. I wanted it a little bit more from this particular volume. I will definitely pick up the sequel, and I have plans to read more for books in the very near future, but for me with this one, it's like maybe a 4-star. I don't know. I think, you know, I liked it and I have enough good feelings about it. I think I'll give it a 4-star because it was good. I guess I just wanted it to be a 5 and I felt like it could be a 5. So then when it wasn't, it hurt a little bit, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. And yeah, I do recommend it, and I'm very, very excited to pick up more of her books in the future. And the last book that I just barely managed to squeeze in on the last day of November was the 3rd book in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, and that is Rogue Protocol. I am really having a good time with the Murderbot Diaries books. I love them because they're really easy to approach. Like, you don't really have to remember too much about what happened in the first or second book to pick it up, because it has been, I think it's been a year, maybe almost a year since I read the second book. And yeah, I just felt like picking up one of these books. It was nice and short, and I wanted to squeeze one last audiobook in before my big plans in December. And it was great. I had a good time with it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Murderbot Diaries book. I think the second one is probably still my favorite of the 3 that I've read so far. But the 3rd one was still a good time. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. It was pretty good. But that is it for the month of November and all the books that I read in that month. I had a really good reading month. Like I said, no 5 stars, which is a little bit of a bummer, but what are you gonna do? You know, you can't make a 5 where there isn't a 5. That being said, I have a lot of exciting books that I plan on getting to in the month of December, so make sure you check out my December TBR, which is coming out in a few days. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment telling me what books you enjoyed in November, and if you've picked up any of these or excited about any of these, I would love to discuss these books with you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that jazz, and thank you so much for watching. Don't be a stranger, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!